Hey guys, Shaky Domain, Deboo.com with a Deboo.com surf forecast update. This forecast update effective around 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Friday, August 26, 2016. And guys, just want to let you know that sometimes it takes me an hour to get one of these videos together. By the time it loads and gets up to the internet, sometimes it can be an hour. Nothing in weather is absolute until it happens in real time. I just want to let you know that. We'll see this video starting at noon. We'll see how long it takes me to get up into the get it up to the internet, and so there could be some changes within that hour. But start you off with 99L Invest. This is that system that's in the Bahamas now, and it appears that original low-level swirl, the naked swirl we had yesterday, has now spun out a little bit further now into the Bahamas, but it appears that maybe another low-level circulation is developing underneath this convection down here. Can you see how the convection is starting to blow up? And you can see how the rotation is in here. This has still got good spin, guys. Wind shear is decreasing a bit. There are a few models that still show tropical storm, maybe even hurricane. If you missed this morning's update, National Hurricane Center, here's their track going into the western or Gulf of Mexico. They've now put a yellow X over here in the western Gulf. Guys, yesterday, Baton Rouge or Louisiana, more rainfall. The way this is setting up, this is probably going to provide more rainfall. Now, this system was going to be the wild card since the beginning on what the winds were going to do for Gaston swell. We'll get into that in just a few seconds because based on this track, we'll determine what the winds are going to be when Gaston swell arrives, at least for us down here in Florida, up through the Outer Banks. Now, I will say this, that this is the same track that the Euro has been showing for the last several days. It switched last night, guys, and brings up weak low pressure up the Florida coast. Now, I know that there's a lot of you that the National Hurricane Center dropped the odds this morning. Remember, guys, a chance is a chance. So, and also remember that even though the European model is showing a weak area of low pressure, weak areas of low pressure are known to produce copious amounts of rain, hence what happened in Baton Rouge a couple of weeks ago. Guys, don't get complacent. Complacency is the #1 fear because there's a reason why they call it homegrown development. This area can get up in here into the Bahamas over warm water, better environment, and quickly spin up. So keep an eye on this afternoon for the updates. There's still about 24 to 48 hours before it approaches the South Florida coast. Zoom back out just to set this up a little bit for a bigger picture. Here's that area, 91L. Based on the current track going into the Gulf of Mexico, that means that everything east of Florida will get dragged across Florida. This means as far as winds, if it drags across Florida, the east-southeast flow on the top side of this system means onshore winds out of the east-southeast at the same time Gaston swell will start arriving. Again, guys, we'll give you some more updates on 91L. Stay tuned to our social feeds. The best one is Twitter for real-time updates. Here's the latest look at the 24-hour swell forecast for Gaston. Gaston will be moving north of Puerto Rico next 24 to 48 hours. You can see that the model is showing some Fiona swell, but for you guys that are out there trying to surf today, that's why there's that northeast wind put a chop on it. So only 3 foot on Grace Reef, but only at 7 to 8 seconds. There may be a little slight increase in periods coming up. We'll have to check that on the buoys. But here comes that Gaston swell. And then 48 hours closer to the coast. Going to fill in quickly, guys. Now, the majority of this swell energy is going to be aimed at the Outer Banks up through the northeast. And that is because when Gaston came off, intensified to a hurricane that got swell production going, but then it dropped back down to a tropical storm and became disorganized and is currently interacting with an upper level low. It's a large upper level low. This is the, well, we don't need to look at that one. This is the 48-hour wind wave out of the National Hurricane Center. Next 48 hours. Seas increasing 5 feet. And keep in mind that that's going to be under long period ground swell, guys. 5 feet at 15 to 18 seconds. Not sure what the size is yet. We'll go into a buoy watch here shortly to check it. But then at 72 hours, still holding it at 4 to 5 feet. Now, let me back this out now. Give me a second so you can see this. All right, right here. Hurricane Gaston 48 hours. That means that the system started off intensified to a hurricane, dropped to a tropical storm, and is now going back to hurricane. Forecast hurricane. Next 48 hours, seas increasing 33 feet. Now that's going to be mostly in southeast and east-southeast swell, heading towards the Outer Banks and the Mid-Atlantic. 72-hour forecast. Hurricane Gaston. Winds 90 knots, gust to 110, seas increasing to 38 feet. But guys, this is where the northeast groundswell should start that we talked about. 45 knot winds out of the northeast on the backside of Bermuda gives hope in the extended. We already have northeast wind flow over the water pushing the Atlantic down from the mid-Atlantic. If we can get Gaston, we talked about that in our last update, up a little bit more west, that should open up some more northeast fetch on this system. Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Bahamas, we updated you in that forecast. Again, we'll have to verify it when we see it on the buoys, guys, because the models are changing. We'll show you that model run here in just a second. But here's that large upper level low interacting with Gaston. And then Bermuda is up in here. Right in here. Bermuda's up in here. So this storm is going to re-intensify as a hurricane up here. So think about it spinning up in here. If we could get some high pressure to increase the northeast fetch, we'd have a pretty good shot at some very large surf. Unsure of at the moment. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Again, here's Gaston over here in the East Atlantic. Barely discernible in the infrared, interacting with this large upper low. Now let's take a look at the Euro real quick. Start you off. Here's that area in the Bahamas. You see it approaching South Florida. There's that area or that piece of tropical energy over in the western Gomex. There's Gaston lifting up towards the north, intensifying. Advance you a little bit more. Now look what the Euro does. It lifts that system 99L invest up towards the Outer Banks. And again, this will have a different outcome on the winds. Remember, guys, this is opposite of what the official forecast is. So again, if this system happens to come up this way, now we have offshore winds at the time Gaston swell arrives. The other factor is as if the other solution is correct towards the western Gomex, period of heavy rains offshore the coast of Florida could give us that clean, glassy rain swell, glassing it off at the same time. That's all we got for you for now, guys. Stay tuned for the next update.